Alright everybody, it's Burt from Soft Tubes here with another trailer reaction. D, whatever the fuck they call it, D3? I think they call it D3. D3, if that's what it's called, is on, and there's a bunch of stuff coming out from Disney. So let's jump into the Lady and the Tramp trailer. Okay, so full live action is... No.
Let me guess. You're like the center of your people's universe, right?
Indeed.
Well, I've got no leashes or fences. With me, every day could be an adventure.
This is something else.
Oh yeah, it's Tessa Thompson. Fuck, I don't recognize that voice. Alright. National Geographic. I forgot National Geographic was part of Disney. Disney. Yeah. So it's a thing. So I guess I should start with I have seen Lady and the Tramp. I do not remember Lady and the Tramp. Like, the only stuff I remember is the things even people who haven't seen it know, and like the noodle scene and stuff like that, mostly because it's been parodied. It's part of the zeitgeist. So I don't actually know that much about this film. I have a few feelings. Like, it looks pretty good. They're definitely trying to use the same sort of technology they used with like Lion King, but because it's... I'm assuming this is a film. I actually didn't pay attention to any of the words that came up, so I don't know if it told me otherwise. Probably should have. I just... The words came up on screen and I was just like, I don't care. Essentially my brain just went, man, words. Like, that's not why I'm watching this. So it might be a series, but that would be a really odd choice. So I'm assuming it's a film made for Disney Plus, and I can understand that as a decision, because Disney are definitely going through the catalog and going, what can we remake, and what will make sense to remake, and in what way? Because they're not just doing things like Lion King was almost an exact remake with some shifts, and then Aladdin was a lot the same, but with a bit of shifts and stuff like that. Dumbo they added a lot to, because and had to change a lot because Dumbo is a different kind of film. Although it's weird. No, I'll get into that after. But mostly but then you have things like Maleficent, and they went, let's do the villain's point of view. And I think they're doing that more with the stuff that's based on things that everyone knows anyway. But then they are doing like Little Mermaid, but I guess there isn't necessarily a way they can twist Little Mermaid a lot. So they're just going to make that pretty much a remake. But there are certain ones of that catalog that they go, like, we re-release Aladdin, people are going to go see it. We re-release, we do like a remake of Lion King, people are going to go see it. Lady and the Tramp, there'll be an audience. I mean, if you look at dog-focused films, I want to say... I know Lady and the Tramp, and yet still when I sat down to watch this, I was a little confused because I thought Lady was a cat for some reason. I know the Lady is a dog, and I still sat down, started to watch the trailer, and then went, wait. And I went, oh yeah, that's right, they're both dogs. Don't know where the cat thing came from. I think it was because I was talking about like Milo and Otis and stuff the other day. But you look at I think A Dog's Journey just came out, and there was A Dog's Purpose last year or the year before, and there was another dog film. Dog films abound. And I think they always kind of have. And I was talking about this yesterday, I believe it was, with some people I know, that the part of the reason is, it's the same reason that, in a way, John Wick became well known because they killed a dog. It's the way that you make a villain instantaneously villainous is you make them kill a dog, and it's because there's this weird thing, which I mean for a lot of people isn't weird, but for me, like looking at it and analyzing it, it's a weird thing where we have built such a connection with canines, and it makes sense because evolutionarily and developmentally, that made sense. Like we started domesticating them, and it made sense. We kind of grew up with them because they were useful to us. And interestingly, one of the reasons they were useful to us was because they ate their own poop, because we saw that and went, those are curious creatures that want to like investigate things. That's what we want to use. So we did that. But yeah, so we have this like intrinsic cultural kind of thing. Like there are people who don't like dogs, absolutely. I don't mind dogs. I also don't mind cats. I'm not necessarily like, I love dogs and I love cats. Like I just like animals. There's some like I prefer rats as a pet, but that's me because there's things about them that I prefer than owning a dog or a cat. Partly because they're more low maintenance in a lot of ways, but that's a different thing. But we have this connection. So dog films are really easy to they're easy to develop, essentially. Hard to make. Making anything with animals, even like, I mean, CGI, like they're doing CGI here. I assume there's still some real dogs involved. But even CGI is kind of a pain because you got to make it look good. But filming dogs is a pain in the ass. And if you got to film dogs and multiple animals of any kind, and then that's the reason they say like don't have film with animals or children. And it's because especially if you put those two together, like the animal probably isn't going to do what you want in one shot, but the children will, and then the next shot the animal will do it, but the children won't. And that's basically it. So dogs are always hard to film, but they don't do amazing at the blockbuster or box office or whatever. They're not huge money makers, but they make decent profits for the amount of money you have to pump into them. So like you can put out a dog film and it can be pretty much garbage, but as long as you make it even like fakely emotional, people will walk away liking it. If people love dogs, they will go see, like people who love dogs will go see dog films. And then they will still walk away, even from a bad one, as long as you make it emotional and make some sort of thing about how dogs and humans belong together, they will walk away feeling pretty damn good about it. So it's not surprising that, like, to do that. Here, I think they still went, we can make Lady and Tramp, but because we're doing CGI, it's going to take us a bit of money. It's going to be a bit of production. We're not going to make box office numbers that we need to. It's not going to work there. So what they're doing instead is moving it to Disney Plus, where they could have probably adjusted the budget a bit better to be like, well, it's only a Disney Plus thing. We don't have to spend quite as much money. It still looks like they spent a fair decent amount of money on the CGI. There was a couple of spots where it seemed a bit off. Well, like not off entirely, but just like not quite as good. But it could also be that those bits were either real dogs, or that was when it was the only bit where it was actually CGI. But basically, yeah, like they can use it to try and get people onto Disney Plus, because it's the benefit of a streaming service. It doesn't matter whether people are watching one specific thing, as long as it's drawing some people in, because then you're making money overall. And that's part of the reason that the Netflix Marvel shows fell through, is they were costing so much. Well, part of the reason, part of what I can tell just by looking at basic numbers of what would have factored into their cancellation of, those shows cost a lot of money per season, but they don't but after the first season, they're not bringing in new viewers. So Daredevil season 3 was actually seeing less people watching it. I think it was up from season 2, I think, but it might have also dropped. I can't remember. I remember looking into it at the time, but there was like a pretty massive drop, and then I think actually it was another drop, but it wasn't as big, but it was still another drop. But it wasn't bringing more people to Netflix. So they're pumping money into a show that wasn't bringing people back and wasn't keeping enough people on. So it made sense to cut it and take that money and move it elsewhere to a new property that might bring in new people, or at the very least might shift people and keep them like on Netflix because now they're watching this. Even if they're annoyed about Daredevil getting cancelled, they're probably not going to cancel Netflix because of one show or even all the Marvel shows. So that's kind of what they're going for here, is Lady and the Tramp would not pull in the numbers to the cinema they need, but it might pull in the numbers they need to Disney Plus on top of the Marvel and the Star Wars and everything else. Because like I doubt any of them were going like Lady and the Tramp is our real ticket for Disney Plus. Like that's the one that's going to get them in. It's bonus numbers. And it's a way that they could justify the cost because the people coming for Marvel and Star Wars are going to pay off Lady and the Tramp anyway. So they can get numbers and they can kind of look at it and go how it did and then gauge for future things like it. What's the best way to do it? But just from this, like, it's not hugely important that it makes back its money as long as everything makes back enough money for everything. So that's kind of why they've made that decision. My one big issue with watching this is it's very similar to Lion King, and I'm assuming they used a lot of the same technology as in Lion King with how they make the animals, and it makes sense. They've built this technology, they want to use it. I feel like National Geographic is a better place to be using it to do nature stuff that you couldn't necessarily film, so you remake it. But that's probably not going to make the numbers to pay off the cost. So I understand a bit of the thing there, but it sucks because the one benefit this has over the Lion King is again that aforementioned social connection with animals. Basically, it's that thing, and I heard, I think it was James on Funhouse talked about it when he talked about Lion King, and I might have mentioned it in something to do with, I think it might have been a Lion King review, that basically, it's like when you go over someone's house, like you don't own cats, and you go to like a friend's house who has a cat, and it makes, like, sort of face, and they go, look, it's happy, and to them, they see a happy cat, but you look at it, you just see a cat that's making a slight face, because whether or not the cat's happy, they have made a social construct in their head that means the cat is happy. Where you looking at it just go, I just see a cat, because you don't have that same connection to the thing. It's anthropomorphizing the animal in a sense. There is things to tell when an animal is happy or not. Whether or not they are always the things that people think they are, different matter. But even if there are things that go like, oh, the cat is happy, if you don't know animals, you probably won't recognize those signs. Dogs, it works a bit better because dogs are pretty common. And because of this social construct we already have, most people are able, and they've done studies on it, to gauge at least an expected emotion of a dog from the way it looks and things. Whether it matches up with the dog's actual mood is different, but when a dog makes a certain face, we go, oh, he's hungry, or he's begging, or he's happy, or he's sad. And we just, like, he's guilty. Like, that's one of the big ones, is like, I can tell my dog's guilty because he looks like this. Whether dogs can feel guilt, we don't know. I don't know how much study has been done. I think there's been a little bit. I assume they could probably feel something akin to guilt. But whether it's guilt, as we think of it, is a different matter. But they still see it. And because of the way we're built, most humans can gauge that stuff. So it's a lot easier to look at a dog in an emotional scene and then taking what we see the animal do and the context of the scene, mashing them together, and our brain goes, dog is happy. Compared to a lion, which we have very little social contextual knowledge of what would make a lion look happy, and then the context of the scene. And that's where the Lion King, unless like some people can get totally sold on just the context and they're understanding what should be and just go like, yeah, the lion looks happy. I wasn't one of those where I was like, the lion looks like a lion and the context telling me he's happy, but I don't know. It just feels off-putting. It's like when you put an actor who isn't showing emotion in a scene where it's like, the scene is telling you they are very emotional and they're not doing anything. It's basically the same, but over lions in this case. Where it's working because they're dogs and you already most people at least can gauge a basic idea of what they think it is, and then the context just reinforces that. So it's not as bad. I still think a little bit more needs to be done to make them not as real. I don't know how. I feel like older movies where they tried to do this like talking animal thing worked better. Like Cats and Dogs, I feel like from just a little bit I saw here, Cats and Dogs did a better way of helping me see this animal is happy or sad or whatever than this did. There could just be the snippets they showed weren't great, because a lot of it just seemed to be dogs being dogs. There wasn't a lot of them in what we would associate as emotional situations. Because most of the time we saw, like, yeah, dogs being dogs around humans, where Lion King, it was always them interacting. So it was just like people meeting. So there was more context for need of emotion to be shown. When it's a dog not having to act like a human, you can kind of get away with a little bit more of it just being a dog. But because of that, I didn't see a lot of the emotional stuff. And yeah, I just feel like we've seen better, like, things that look, I don't remember how Cats and Dogs actually looks anymore. At the time, I remember thinking it looked pretty damn good. I liked that movie when I was a kid, or how the fuck old I was when it came out. But essentially, they did from my memory, they did a pretty decent job of having something that looked like a dog and pretty real as a dog, and you could at least sort of believe it. And then also not real enough that you could believe when it was talking and doing like kung fu and stuff, or whatever the hell happened in that movie. But basically, yeah, so I think there's still that little bit of issue there where they look too real, but whether or not that's the thing. This is not something I'm particularly excited for to watch on Disney Plus. But if I got nothing to watch, I'll probably check it out. Like, found out Disney Plus is coming to Australia in November. Same time as the US, or pretty close to the same time as the US. It's a big goddamn deal. I hate myself for being so excited about it, but I am really excited about it because I love Marvel stuff. The Mandalorian's coming out. That reaction is coming. There's a lot of Disney stuff I really enjoy, so I'm going to be getting it. So I probably will end up watching this, but because there's a lot of stuff dumping on Disney Plus for day one, it's probably not going to be quick. So whether I even do it for a review at this point, I don't know. But yeah, there was something I was going to come back to. I don't remember what it was. There was something I said earlier in the video. I was like, oh, I'll leave that for later, and now I've forgotten it. So it probably wasn't important. It was probably another rant that had nothing really to do with anything. But I actually feel like it had to do with Disney Plus itself, but I don't remember. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of Lady and the Tramp. I don't know how many people who will watch this are going to be like. I mean, I assume if you clicked on the video, you probably care about Lady and the Tramp in some way. But I don't know how many people are going to be excited about it particularly, so I'll be interested to see what the reactions are. If you like this video, like button. If you didn't like the video, there's a dislike button. And if you're new to the channel and you like reactions and all of that, I'm still working on a lot of stuff. I'm hoping to do a reaction to the first Conjuring film since I've never seen them. Hopefully this weekend, we'll see how things go. Had D&D last night and it went late, so I've kind of got up late today and my day's all messed up, which means my weekend's been pushed around a bit and I've still got a lot of writing to do. So there's a lot going on for me right now. So we'll see if I get time to fit it in amongst all of this as well, because I didn't know this was on this weekend. I thought it was next weekend. But it's out. So, you know, we'll see how things go. But anyway, guys, yeah, so if you like all that stuff, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to know when it comes out, you can hit the bell. That's up to you. But thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.
Name.
Phineas Stonemass.
The chaos of war has brought a new wave of refugees to these shores.